Okay, this is the video tutorial that goes with lesson 1A.2, evaluating expressions. So this is one of the things that we saw on the pre-assessment, and we're going to go into a little more detail on how you should actually do these questions. Move that out of the way so we can get to our first questions. So first of all, there was a little matching exercise for people that weren't here, so we can start matching things up. Once again, there's a lot of vocabulary in this unit, so it's sometimes really important. If we don't know what a word means, then we can't actually answer the question. So let's see what we actually have here. Well, I do know that the number in front of a variable is called the coefficient. So to use the desmos, all you do is you just drag the two things together and then it makes a card. If it helps, you can just click it to collapse it, or you can just move it out of the way a little bit. I also know that the letter itself is called a variable. So I'm going to go ahead and join those two together as well. And let's see what else we have here. A constant, that's just a number at the end of a question. So we'll also look at that in a different unit. So we're going to add that one in there. And I'm going to guess we might possibly have some left over here. So I'm kind of a little unsure for this one. I can see on here some numbers have been placed into a formula, and then we've worked out what the answer actually is. So that could easily be calculate the value of or evaluate. I'm actually wondering if it's all three together. You can actually have more than one. So I'm going to put those two together, although we do have three left over here. So let's see what we have. A number placed before and multiplying with a variable. A letter that represents a number. So a letter that represents a number, that is a variable. So some of these, it looks like we do have more than one. And actually, it looks like we have three cards. So let's see what we have here. A number on its own, that's the definition for a constant. And a number placed before, that's before the x, and we do multiplying there. So actually, I thought it was two cards to begin with, and actually it's four groups of three cards. And then we get on to, depending on what you want to call this, whether you want to call this, it used to be called PEMDAS. We prefer GEMDAS now because we talk about grouping symbols. Some people have gone on to GEMDAS. I actually am not a big fan of GEMDAS. I much prefer GEMDAS because I actually count radicals as one of my grouping symbols. So radicals are just your square roots. So we can use this one, but I personally prefer just to do grouping symbols, then do exponents, then do multiplication, and so on. But some of these things you do at the same time. So multiplication and division, it's not multiplication and then division, it's multiplication and division at the same time, going left to right. And addition and subtraction, same thing. You don't just do addition and then all your subtractions, you do them at the same time, but going left to right. Also, very important on here, when we're substituting the value of the variable into the expression, make sure you use parentheses. That can be really important, particularly when we're doing this on desmos. Follow the order of operations to simplify the expression, and the answer will always be a constant, as in just a number. If we have more than one term, then that means we haven't finished. And we have a little desmos calculator there, and we can start working this question out. So it says show your work to the side here. So first of all, I would normally just want to write out the question. So 3x minus 6x squared plus 3. But we know that x equals 5. So where we see an x, we substitute in 5, but like it said on the previous slide, you put it in parentheses. And I apologize, but oh goodness, my writing is not as neat as I would like it to be here. Squared plus 3. So as I'm doing this question, if I go back to the GEMDAS, first of all, I'm looking for any grouping symbols. So I can certainly see there's parentheses here, but there's nothing to work out inside the parentheses because it's just 5. So we're done. If I do the GEMDAS, I'm looking for exponents or radicals. Well, no radicals, but I can certainly see there's some exponents here. So 5 squared is 25. So I'm going to copy out everything else exactly the same. And notice I'm only squaring the 5. I'm not squaring the 6 as well. Only the thing that's inside the parentheses am I actually squaring here. So 5 times 5 is 25. And then I'm going to add on 3. And then next one is multiplication and division. So when they're next to each other, that means multiply. So 3 times 5 is 15. 6 times 25 is 150. Obviously, you can just use a calculator if you're not sure for these. And then when last one is add 3. Now, the last one is one where people can make mistakes. So if people do think it's addition and then subtraction, they would do 150 add 3 is 153. And then 15 take away 153 is negative 138, where actually we're supposed to do them at the same time going left to right. So 15 take away 150 is negative 135, and add 3 is negative 132, not negative 138. All right, moment of truth. Let's see if this answer is good, and it will tell you if you have the correct answer. If you do put the wrong answer in, so like the negative 138 that we said, it will actually tell you it's wrong, just so you can see how desmos actually works. Now, we can also, whoops, it says we can use the calculator to the other side. So the question was 3x squared. Now, to get the squared, if we open up the keyboard, just like on the scientific calculator, you can see we have the squared button there, and then it was plus 6x, and I got to go back because I forgot what it was. Oh, I got it wrong, totally wrong. It was 3x, oops, plus 6x squared. So give me a chance to show you the squared again. And then right on the end, I believe it said minus 7. I should have paid more attention. Oh, not even close. Where did I get that from? Plus 3. Now, where it says x, remember, we're going to put what x is, but in parentheses. So it was actually 5. And then let me get rid of that x. And this x here, same thing. I'm going to replace it with 5 in parentheses. And I think something went wrong here. Once again, I think I put the wrong number in here. Minus 6x squared. Whoops, I'm not doing very well today. And actually, you can see it actually gives you the correct answer straight away. Now, sometimes it's actually easier just to, rather than try and write over the top, which is what I just did there, sometimes it's easier just to write it on the next line. So I would actually normally write out the question, and then underneath, I would remind myself that, oh, I'm plugging in x equals 5. So wherever I see 5, I can do it. So this is actually a foolproof method. As long as you copy the question accurately and you remember parentheses, you should actually get every question right. So if these were any that you missed on the previous assessment, hopefully you can get them right this time. So for this question here this time, let's go ahead, rather than try and do this by hand, where we can also possibly make mistakes, let's go straight in and let's actually write down what the question is. So negative 5m cubed. For cubed, you can push this button here and push the 3. The shortcut I do is Shift and 6. It tells you it's an exponent, but then I have to click back down again to remind myself, hey, you're not quite finished. There's other things on this here as well. N plus, I think it's at 6m. Whoops, whoa. I don't know why it zooms so much there. And I went the wrong way. Plus 6m divided by negative 3. And for the divide symbol, this is zoomed in too much now. I'm not quite sure how to change it. That's not very helpful. I'm going to press the slash symbol, and you can see it creates a fraction here. Divide by negative 3. Oops, I did it again. I don't quite know why it's doing that right now. And that's really going to mess me up because now, oh, there we go. Only just about get there. M is 2 and N is negative 3. Not sure why it's doing that. Oh, there we go. I managed to get it back. Now you will see there's actually sliders here on this question. So if we use things that are not X and Y, there is an alternative way we can do this question, which is really easy. So let's do that actually first. We can actually put in M equals 2, and we can actually put in N equals negative 3. And look, it actually gives you the answer straight away, 116. So all we literally had to do was type in the question and type in exactly what the variables are. So that makes this question even easier if you don't have X and Y. If you do have X and Y, you could just change the letter here. You could actually put 3a minus 6a squared plus 3, and then say a equals 5, and that would also give you the same answer. I know some students like to do that as well. Now, just so we can get rid of this just for a moment, I'm going to do it the way I showed you before. So if I use the parentheses and I substitute in, I already forgot what M is, m is 2. So where it says m, I'm putting in 2. And I'm going to do to the power of 3, like it says in the question. So to the power of 3. And then n, I got to put that in parentheses as well. That was -3 plus 6m. Divided by, just use the slash symbol and it'll know it's a fraction. -3. And then once again, we know what m is here. So let me go ahead and type it in. So in parentheses, m is 2. And oops, I didn't put equals. I put -3 there. And once again, you can see that it still gives you 1/16. So a couple of different ways when you're substituting. And the advantage using desmos is it understands exactly GEMDAS or GEMDAS. So you're guaranteed to get the right answer because it will follow that method for you. Now, the ones that can be more difficult, though, are ones which have these grouping symbols here. So we got the square root of 4x minus 7. So let's start with that one first. And it doesn't look like there's a calculator. Okay, so on the calculator, the square root is down here. And then we just type in whatever we want inside this. So we wanted, like, I think it was 4x minus 7. So we just keep typing. Now you have to be a little careful. Sometimes if you want the square root to end, you just click the right arrow and then you can get square root of 4x minus 7. But if you want it to stay inside the square root, don't push the right arrow. Let's go back to slide 8. Look at the rest of the question. Plus the absolute value of -3x minus 5. So plus, I'm just using my keyboard, but I could easily use the Desmos keyboard here. Absolute value, let's have a little look. There we go. It's those vertical lines. So 3x minus 5. And then the last part of the question said, oh, that's it, when x equals 4. So if I go back now and retype this question, this time I can just substitute in, well, let me do it up here, where it says x, just plug in 4. And where it says x, just plug in 4, well, not 40, plug in 4 and get rid of the x. And you can see we'll actually do all the work for you, 10. So that's really helpful. The other way for doing that question is you type out the question, but don't put x. Pick a different letter. So pick, say, like A, and then type in the rest of the question as it is. So 4, square root of 4a minus 7 plus, and you might have noticed at the bottom there, automatically that little slider came in. So that's where we're going to put in our number in a little bit. So instead of x, I'm going to put a minus b. And then if I click at the end here, it will know that I'm doing that. So click the slider. We wanted a to be 4. So just type over the top. And look, you got the same answer here. We got that same answer of 10. So we know that this should be the correct answer for this question. Answer is incorrect. Now there could be a mistake, so I'm going to check by hand. 4 times 4 is 16, minus 7 is 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. When I do this, I get -12, minus 5 is -17. And apparently I did make a mistake. I guess I must have copied down the question wrong. Let's take a look. 3 plus absolute value makes something positive. So instead of having 17, we would have, sorry, -17, we would have +17. And 3 plus 17 is 20. So let me go ahead and let me check that, see if we're right this time. So I guess what happened is I must have typed in the question wrong. So let's just have a look to see if we can see what happened here. Absolute value of 4x minus, -3x minus 5. I think I missed the negative off, didn't I? Whoops. Now you can see that it's 20. So if you are doing the question, it's very important that you type it in accurately, or else you will get the wrong answer. I wish I could say that was a deliberate mistake. It was not on this occasion. That's how you can check your own answers as well. For ones like this that get really complicated, I'm not going to try and do this by hand. I'm going to go straight to that Desmos calculator. I think there's one this side. Here we go. Oh, hold on, let me just check that. Yeah, this is example 5. So first of all, I see this as a fraction. So as soon as I see a fraction, I'm going to click the divide button or the slash symbol, and it will make a fraction for us. And then we can just work on each part of the fraction as we go along. So the square root of b squared minus 4ac. So on the top of the fraction, I'm going to go ahead and enter that square root. I have b squared. I just typed b in on my keyboard. There's b squared. The right arrow key, minus 4ac. Oh, it didn't all go inside the square root. So let me just go back. Let me fix that and type it in again. There we go. That's better. On the bottom of the fraction, oh, looks like I missed one question, but that's okay. You guys can always go and do that one yourself. Over 2a. Now notice you do have the sliders here, a, b, and c. So on questions like this is probably going to be the easiest way. So a is -8. And let's see what else we have. B is -6. So it might take a little bit of time, but we're guaranteed to get the right answer as long as we type this in correctly. And C is 2. Consider I already made one mistake earlier. Looks like -0.625, as long as I copied this down correctly. I'm going to just do one more check. -8, -6, and 2. -8, -6, and 2. And we got -0.625. Okay. And let's see if that is correct. Fingers crossed. Wrong answer. Just do one last quick check just to make sure. Square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. That's good. A is -8, b is -6, and c is +2. I am going to suggest the person that created this has made a mistake, and we'll make sure that gets fixed before you guys try this, okay? And then same for this one here. You can go ahead and just type in the question. The only thing I haven't shown you so far is the cube root. So let's see if there's one open for here. So I showed you square root, but for cube root, you can see that it's not here. You have to go to functions, and in each of these menus, there are lots of different little features here. And the one we're going to use this year is just going to be the miscellaneous, I think, for pretty much most things. And there's that square root with a number outside. So if you want it to be the cube root, you can put a little 3 outside of the question. As this one was the cube root of p, I'm going to type in cube root of p. And for the second half, it says minus c square root of b. So let me click to the side, minus c square root is down here in the desmos key. Woo. Down here, there, and B. Press the right arrow key, and oh, what was I doing? I was looking at totally the wrong question. Plus q plus 6p all squared. I think I must have been looking at the next question. Got a little bit carried away there. Apologies. Yeah, I was looking on slide 14 when I haven't on slide 12 yet. Q plus 6p all in parentheses. And all squared. So we got our squared symbol there. We go back to slide 12. And this is going to be a little difficult to do because it says evaluate expression for the given values, and I don't see any values. So we're going to make a couple up for this one for right now. Click on the sliders though, and then you can pick whatever numbers it will actually give you in the question. And just remember that the answer will appear at the top here. Okay. Let's go to that slide 14. Slide 14 is the one that you would try yourself. So any letters, like I said, besides X and Y, if you just type in the question, once again, see that cube root symbol again, it will actually work out the question for you. If it is X and Y, you can either change the X into an A and then just enter A equals 4 and you'll get the right answer, or you can put it in parentheses that X is 4. I personally prefer changing it to A, but that's a decision for you to do. And you have a calculator here, so you can try 2 of those questions as well. Hopefully by the time you see this, this problem will be fixed. But go ahead, see if you can try those 2 questions to see if you can understand, and then use that check answer feature to make sure you got the correct answer.